Continuing here, I guess the theme of this series of videos today is kind of like, let us do our best to just get it. That's it. If you get it, then you get the idea that you must be free in order to be happy, and that's really, at the end of the day, what we should all be seeking is to be truly happy. And to understand those ingredients, those components, those facets, those elements of what it takes to achieve, to attain happiness. And understanding fundamentally that freedom is first and foremost at the very top of that list of being happy, that we must be free. And then we have to understand what things keep us enslaved, what things keep us not free, basically. And that is the idea that we have to pay this tax that is euphemistically called a cost of living, because after all, a cost of living is reasonable. It makes sense that you got to pay your way and nothing is free, and we all get it. So that is how it's sold to us, not as a tax, but its effect is identical. So for all intents and purposes, the cost of living is a tax from birth. We're all just told to accept, and we do. We, for the most part, the vast majority just go their whole lives and just accept it. Yeah, this is just the way it is, and yeah, you don't like it, well, blame capitalism. And we understand why there's so damn many communists and socialists out there, because they hate capitalism. But capitalism is the best house in a bad neighborhood, right? So we got all this, all this BS we're all so full of, including myself. Believe me, my views have changed a lot over the years. I used to believe that the answer was just go to strictly a sales tax and just impose that on the high-end luxury items, and that we're going to pay everything that way. Keep it really simple. Bare bones, nuts and bolts, But really now I believe that's probably the best way is just a Tobin tax, I think is what they call a tax on trades on Wall Street, on the stock exchange. So every time a trade is done and performed, that a certain amount goes to the U.S. Treasury, and that we could be in the black in short order. You understand how this thing could work? And if it's in the black, guess what? The captives are going to be set free. This whole idea that we've got to maintain a debt in perpetuity, and that debt's got to grow, and that the worth of your currency has to keep being diminished and debased, and the cost of living has to keep going up. Have been sold on anti-progress. We've been sold on regression, retrogression, going backwards. That's it. It's as simple as that. I mean, I don't know how to explain it more simply, but that's it. If you believe that this is the inevitable path for humanity, that things have to just keep descending into worse and worse conditions, of wealth imbalance and poverty all over the world, there's just no way. The problem's overwhelming, and it's every man for himself. I mean, yeah, the ship's been sinking along for a long time, and get used to it, man. I can imagine the things that so many people that think they're pragmatic and practical and they have common sense, the kind of stuff they would tell me, if they bothered, if they even cared about me enough to tell me. But, I don't buy any of it. I mean, the opinion I have of myself is derived from my owner, okay? That's the best opinion out there. We can all tap into that. We all have equal access to our owner. Our owner is our creator. Our owner is God. And we are extensions. We are living vicariously through God. And God, conversely, is living vicariously through us. It's a very intriguing relationship, because we are like God. I mean, people that object to this idea that you can call yourself a God, Jesus himself said this. So if you're a Christian and you believe the teaching of Jesus, Jesus likened humanity to gods, little gods, children of gods. Children of God. That makes us little God. That's not a threat to God. He's very sharing and generous. Okay? And so he sees no good reason why to withhold our godhood. So we're all welcome to accept this title of children of God. And when you understand that, that means you're made in the image and likeness of God. You are like a little God, and we've got big shoes to fill. We're created just a little lower than the angels, like the Bible says. And so we've got to do our very best to be clothed in that empowerment that's given from on high, to have great high self-esteem but low ego, and just go out and share what you know with others freely. This is storing your treasures in heaven, because you're going to win friends. Just giving someone a drink of cold water, it says you'll not lose your reward. So what is that a metaphor for? Encourage somebody, comfort somebody, do something nice for somebody. Inform them or just warn them. Even if you're just the watchman on the tower and you're out there, you're just saying, look, I can't let you just believe this way without being challenged. I have to at least challenge your belief system here. And hear me out, please. Keep your ears open. Some people won't. They're determined to believe what they determined to believe. And they've got false pride. And so they've got these defenses. This wall of defense goes up. And there's not much you can do. You can't throw your pearls before swine. You can't beg them to please, try to understand where I'm coming from. And no, you should do. I think you should reach out with an olive leaf, like be a kind puppy dog sort of person, like I'd like to be. I strive to be a nicer guy. I'd like to be the nicest guy you ever met all the time. Never crabby, never in a bad mood, never volatile. Never losing my cool. I don't like to be an angry man. I don't like to be a frustrated man. I don't want to be. But I don't see this idea of finding happiness the kind of thing I go alone. So unless I try to convince people of what it takes, because I really firmly believe what I believe. Otherwise, I wouldn't bother. I wouldn't say what I have to say is imperative. I'd say, what this guy says is okay. I'm not hearing anybody talk the way I do. That's why I do this series of videos, because this is my perspective. And if I didn't think it was important, very important, I wouldn't bother trying to explain it to people. But, us human beings are incredible creatures, and our potential is unlimited. And we all have to do our best to simply get it. We've got to just understand the dynamics involved. And we've got to turn to God for deriving our personality and our character, our nature, and who we want to be. I mean, when Jesus said, love your enemies, I tell you, you must love your enemies. I mean, most people, even people that profess to be Christian or religious, they're going to tell you that is stupid on its face, that's either lost in translation or something else, or God's an idiot. They might not say that, but by their thinking, by their words, that's what they believe. But I don't think so. I think we've got to understand what else is written in scriptures. You thought I was like you. See, God is so far above us, okay, that he uses us like pawns. And look at all the saints that he's allowed to be martyred through the years. But the whole idea is, look, I don't believe in death, saith the Lord. And so, we can't worry about that. I'm as radical as I can be. I don't want to be a threat to anybody. I don't want anybody to be scared of me. So I don't need to be any more wild with the public than just to say, look, here's what I have to say, okay? But I'm not a threat, and I don't want to be. I don't want anybody to be scared of me. I don't like the idea that, look, when the government fears the people, there is liberty. When the people fear the government, there is tyranny. That's really not a philosophy I want to prescribe to, because I'm saying everything as radical I can. And, telling you, look, I would set the captives free is as radical as it gets. Okay, I'm just trying to emulate God, and we can all do that. We have equal access to understand, look, God did not hide his character, his nature, his personality from us. Okay, otherwise we couldn't imitate him. And it says to imitate him, which means to emulate him, to try our best to reflect him, to represent him properly. And when we do that, we realize that we want to be kind and loving and sincere and compassionate and merciful, loving human beings. And on and on. You just add every good characteristic, trait, attribute, quality, okay, and it's all derived from God. God is the central source of all good things. All those good things that are going to clear up that water for all of us, that are going to set the captives free. Remember, you've got to get it. And when you get 100% equality and you say, okay, all right, that's it, I'm done. I'm done with Satan, and I didn't even know I was involved with Satan by believing in inequality, but I was. Now I'm over here in this clean, clear water. I'm free. I've been set free. When the Lord has set you free, you shall be free indeed. And that's what he does. We can be entirely free from the grasp of Satan by just doing that. Saying, look, I'm willing to live in a world without money. Show me how that works. Entirely without money. Where it works fine. People keep doing what they want to do. And the system works. And any jobs we don't want to do, we'll create machines that'll do it for us. And we've got humble people that'll go out there and they're going to pick up your dog crap. They're going to mow your lawns. They're going to clean your house. And they're going to take care of the infirm and the handicapped. It's going to happen. Have a little faith. Like Jesus said, the faith of a mustard seed. But once you get it and the light goes on, you go, my God, we can all be free and live together in peace and harmony, safety and security, and prosperity for all. Okay? Not for some. And that's the way it must be in order for you to be happy. See, Satan's told us that, no, you just need to clear it up for yourself. Just go out there and you just do good yourself. Can't worry about the others. It's social Darwinian economics. This is what they got us believing. If you work hard, or what, then harder, and just accept the nut just keeps getting harder and harder to crack, and that's just normal. And that's what's supposed to happen. That's what we call progress, even though it's the opposite. You understand? It's easy for all of us to fall into this. So I'm not condemning anybody. I'm just saying, let's get it, for crying out loud. And when we do, we could be free. At least in our minds, we could be swimming in that clear, clean lake that God has given us, that, you know, he wants us to have. Come on over here and you're free. If you just are pure in heart, that's it. And you're willing that everybody on earth have all the same things you want for yourself and your family. You are free. You are God's child. Your heart is pure. Okay? And just loving your enemy, what a beautiful thing. I mean, just think, if we are told that it's okay, you know, look at it that way, like not like it's a commandment, you know, love your enemy or else, you know what I mean? No, love your enemy. This is a directive. This is for your own damn good. This is advice, sound advice. Love your enemy because, like King Solomon even said, who wasn't even King Solomon, who didn't have 1/10 the wisdom that Jesus had, but nevertheless was smart enough in this regard to say that by loving your enemy, it's like akin to pouring hot coals over their head. And you see, Jesus was so much wiser in the way he described it, because that's not it at all. Okay, this is to be pleasing to God, you do this thing. Okay, but you understand, this is what your enemy doesn't want. And if you are honest and sincere about being a righteous person that hungers and thirsts for righteousness to be the rule of the day on earth, you know, for all humanity, then you understand that, you know, loving your enemy is imperative. And once you're free to love your enemy, and once you say, okay, I get it, and every time I stumble and fall, he'll be there to pick me up because I'm weak. And I'm a sinner, and I'm going to fall. I'm going to hate my enemy in my heart. It starts there, and then it'll come out my mouth and my behavior. And it'll stress me out because I am separating myself from God. That's what happens whenever we sin. That's why sin feels so bad. That's why it hurts God. That's why it's bad. It's an anathema. We're not supposed to be sinful at all. But this came a long, long time ago, thousands of years ago, at the fall of man, at the you know, the eating of the forbidden fruit and gaining the knowledge of good and evil and all that. Our nature was corrupted. It screwed up our DNA. Death started coming. It entered. Okay, and people that say Adam and Eve is the only story in the Bible. I mean, once Cain killed Abel, right? He was exiled to the land of Nod. So this land of Nod already existed. So there's clearly another civilization besides Adam and Eve, whatever happened there, okay? So just know that it's wild. I mean, the universe is a wild place. Our galaxy is a wild place. Our solar system is a wild place. And planet Earth is a wild place. Our history is wild. I mean, God is incredible. He's a mad scientist, as they say. You know, I mean, it's just incredible, just what's going on through the ages. So anyhow, we're part of something big here. But, you know, and it's fun to contemplate that. But there is some strange stuff going on in the world, and we're all kind of screwed up from birth, from this original sin. So when we sin, and we don't love our enemies from our heart, we're separating ourselves from God, and it feels bad. It's going to feel bad, even if it's subtle. You see, we are called on to tune into it, to welcome the Spirit of truth in at all times. And believe me, I'm preaching to the choir. I have a lot of growth to incur in this regard. So I am not belittling, I'm not looking down on anybody, I'm not excoriating anybody in that regard. All I'm saying is, look, this is what's going on. I have noticed, you know what I mean? And, pinpointing where that sense of separation comes from, where it's initiated, I really think it's from not forgiving our enemies from